what a beautiful day for Mother's Day. My goodness, And of course, it is nice when the sun's shining and it's lovely out. But the reality is that the gift of Mother's Day is something that brightens the day itself, no matter what kind of weather it is. And you're going to think, when Father's Day comes around, you always think, what to give to Dad? And lots of times you think about like a tie, or a power tool. But I came up one time, I said, I think when Father's Day, I asked him, what would you like? And my father from back of church said, a short sermon. He never got it, really, actually, never got the short sermon, but I had since then had another woman come up to me and say, Father, mothers would like that too, on Mother's Day. And so, just a couple thoughts. And one is that the image of unconditional love is at the very center of what we believe in our relationship with God. God so loved the world that he sent his only begotten Son. God so loved the world that he sent his only begotten Son. And Jesus says, greater love than this no one has than to lay down their life for their friends. You are my friends if you do what I command you. He says, my commandment is this, love one another. And here's what he's talking about, spirit and truth and a relationship of the Father dwelling within us, Christ dwelling within us. And it's in that spirit of truth and love, the advocate, the consoler, the paraclete, the Holy Spirit, that we find our truest relationships with God and our truest relationship with each other. I was reading recently about some new discoveries that they had been making in Pompeii and Herculaneum. And of course, Pompeii and Herculaneum, it's around, 79 AD or something like that, when Vesuvius erupted, and in the midst of everybody buying and selling and going on about in a very busy town, suddenly, in just moments, they were stopped, in their daily routine. And what happened was that because the pyrocaustic clouds were rolling down and all the ashes covered everything, and when they finally began to uncover all of this that had been buried by the volcanic eruption and all the ash and dust, they realized that the bodies which had disintegrated because of all the heat, but because they had formed a space that the ashes covered, it was almost like little casts of the individuals that were left. Not the insides of them, but just kind of almost like a fossilized exterior of the person. And they showed what was happening in the last moments, the last seconds of somebody's life before the breath was taken away from them. And what they found many instances of women who were covering their children with their bodies in order to try to protect them. Now, that was almost 2,000 years ago. But I was reading recently about one of the many shootings that we read about in our country on a daily basis. And it said that when the person came in with the rifle, that there were women there who covered their children, shielded them with their bodies. And when people were finally able to gain entrance, to where the horror had occurred, they realized that some of the children were still alive because the mothers had covered them, turned their backs to the gunmen, and covered the children, shielding them with their own life. This is what we believe is God's love. And Jesus himself, at one point, when he was talking to his disciples, said, and he was at the heights above Jerusalem. This is in Matthew 25, is it? Yep, Matthew 23, verse 37. Jesus was weeping above the city of Jerusalem, and he said, Jerusalem, Jerusalem, how I long to gather you to me, like a mother hen gathers her chicks beneath her wings, but you wouldn't let me. And so this idea of giving your life out of love, the idea of protecting and nurturing and nourishing, shows us that the unconditional love that Jesus has for us, is in fact the kind of love that we know in our own personhood if we've been fortunate enough to, be so loved by Mom. Greater love than this no one has than to give up their life. And when you think about all that the moms give up in order to help take care of us, keep us, teach us, feed us, think of all the other things that possibly, if they had devoted themselves to just themselves, they might have accomplished. But as it is, they accomplished, a human being, enfleshed, with a soul, and the knowledge of right and wrong, and the ability to love. Erik Erikson, the psychiatrist, says, one of the most important things we learn, especially at our mother's feet, is called basic trust. That no matter what's happening, things can work out, things can be taken care of. You fall down, someone picks you up. You're bruised, you get a Band-Aid on the boo-boo. Or sometimes, do they still do this? Would you like me to kiss it and make it better? I'm glad that never went away, And so this is part of what it means to be loved by God. And it is a maternal, self-sacrificing, eternal love. And so that's how we draw near to God's love. And the first time we experience it is, when we are brand new. You might remember Robert Fulghum. Some years ago, he wrote, "Everything I need to know I learned in kindergarten." But I think I would change it to "Everything I need to know I learned from Mom." And so here's what he wrote. He said, 1, share everything. See if these things sound familiar. Play fair. Don't hit people. Put things back where you found them. Clean up your own mess. Don't take things that aren't yours. Say you're sorry when you hurt somebody. Wash your hands before you eat. Flush. Warm cookies and cold milk are good for you. Take a nap every afternoon. Live a balanced life. Learn some, think some, draw, paint, sing and dance, play and work some every day. Be aware of wonder. Remember the little seed in the cup? The roots go down and the plant goes up, and nobody really knows how, but we are like that too. He says, and when you go out into the world, watch out for traffic, hold hands and stick together. And that is what Jesus is talking about when he says the Spirit will come to teach you about all things, and you will not be left orphans. This little thing about the seed in the cup, I've got something here. I'm going to need some help with this. Would the servers come forward here? I'd like the children to come up and get a seed packet, okay? And you're going to come up and give it, and you're going to give it to your mom, okay? And so come on up, kids, coming up. Here we go. The servers, spread out a little bit, please. Excellent. Fabulous. And so on Mother's Day, you're going to give, your mom a little packet with a seed in it, and you're going to plant it and watch it grow. And just say, what we have on it is, thank you, Mom, for helping me grow. Thank you, Mom, for helping me grow. And so all that we are and all that we have, was a gift from God and from someone else who loved us in the image and likeness of God. So on this Mother's Day, this is a little gift, and we hope that you share it, with graciousness with your kids, and your kids with you. Also, let you know on the back of that, in order for us to celebrate Mother's Day, our church made a generous gift by Catholic Relief Services. Many children around the world do not have access to quality health care. So routine screenings for children help monitor growth and development and provide vaccines to prevent disease, so the children have a better chance of healthy and happy and long lives. And so we made a generous donation on behalf of our moms for health screening for 240 children in developing countries. That's a gift of Mother's Day. Well, I hope that it wasn't a tie or a power tool, but I hope it was a short enough sermon. Let us rise and profess our faith.